Hi, my name's Karen Wilson and I'm the Student Support Advisor within Student Services. I run a service called Study Plus, which is available term time weekdays from 9:30 till 1 p.m. The service offers additional support to organise your time and workload, an opportunity to raise quick questions about your studies, study skills advice, or it's a regular point of contact to ensure your studies are keeping on track and communication, for example emails, is being kept up to date. This presentation aims to let you know how to plan your time and get organised. It also shows how to get started and keep going. The objectives of this presentation is to consider how effectively you're using your time at the moment and prioritise your workload on a day-to-day basis, and it'll also help you organise your workload by semester and day by day. So why do we need time management? Is it an essential skill? Pickford and Brown are writers on academic skills and success. They say that time management is a skill which above all others can make a difference to students' achievements. It's a skill that can be taught and learned. So first of all, let's take a few moments and think about what you do with your time. Consider how long you spend working, sleeping, eating, drinking, on personal care, socialising, etc., etc. There are lots of ways that people can waste time, and here are just a few examples. On social media, meeting up with people, surfing the net, going to parties or pubs, socialising, and everyday drama, checking your emails and replying to them on your mobile phone or your landline, watching films, gaming, and also things take longer if you've had a lack of sleep. Planning at university. University is equivalent of a full-time job, but you've got flexible hours. For each module, the recommended study time is 150 hours over 15 weeks. So that's 10 hours per week. So if you've got 4 modules, that's say 35 to 40 hours a week. So what's included in the 10 hours? Information gathering, for example searching for books in the library, journal articles and databases or online material. This is a time-consuming task in itself and may take an hour a week for each module. Organising and filing, that's gathering your notes and handouts and other materials. It's a good idea to have a different file for each module. Allow time each week for sorting out your paperwork. You also need thinking time. It's useful to have a little time each day to reflect on your learning, things that were interesting and confusing, and connections between information that you've learned. There's a lot to think about doing. How do you organise yourself to do it? Experience suggests doing whatever inspires you, whatever you feel like doing, isn't a successful way of studying. So what does help? When planning your time, there is a lot of considerations that you have to take into account. You have to think what commitments you have for working, family, other activities and interests. How many of you have part-time jobs, children or other family commitments or other activities which commit you to specific times each week? Another thing to consider is when do you study best? You might be a morning person or you might study best very late at night. Everybody's different. Also consider where you study best. Is it in your bedroom? Is it at the library? Is it in a coffee shop where you're surrounded by other people? Also, do you prefer music in the background or do you prefer bright or dim light with books piled around you or in a nice tidy space? Or do you like study with pen and papers or straight onto your computer? How long do you think you can concentrate for? And plan your breaks in accordingly. Do you need to take a break every hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? And do you prefer to focus on one subject at a time or change your focus quite often? We all have our own profile, therefore time management can't be a list of instructions. Time management is understanding your own profile and preferences and planning to study when and where you do it most effectively. You can look at planning from 2 perspectives, close-up or widescreen. Look at what you do with your time each day and week, or look at the academic semester as a whole and plan around that. Now let's look at prioritising. You have to consider what would happen if I didn't do this task, and do I have to do it now or do I have to do it soon? It's easy to end up getting overwhelmed by what appears to need done. So it's essential to prioritise. Prioritising about knowing the difference between what's urgent and what's important. Coursework for tomorrow is urgent. Rewriting lecture notes is important. But lecture notes is quicker and easier, so you might want to do that first. Split your tasks for the week into the number sections above and tackle each section in turn. The key is to tackle the tasks in Group 4, the not important and not urgent tasks, before they move up to Group 1. But first of all, let's talk about elephants. Watch out for small elephants. Elephants are very big. This one looks small because it's a long way away. Coursework deadlines and exams are like elephants. No, really, they are. When they are far off, they seem small and easy to ignore. But if you ignore them, they get nearer and nearer and nearer until they're very near and very big. Then we panic, we feel overwhelmed and we freeze. Elephants in our studies are courseworks. They look small and insignificant because they're a long way away, so ignore them and do something else. Or they look massive, say 2,000 words, so you feel overwhelmed, so you ignore them and do something else. So planning from the semester point of view. Use a semester planner to identify your coursework deadlines for each module and slice each piece of coursework into smaller tasks or stages and set yourself a deadline to complete each task or stage. Transfer these smaller tasks into your weekly planner. And here is an example. So how would you cope if you had various coursework due around the same time? One option is to move the deadlines. For example, your essay to week 10, your report to week 11, etc. Alternatively, for each coursework you could break the task into smaller pieces and work on them concurrently. The advantages of working like this are it avoids congestion and it avoids you feeling overwhelmed by the size of the task. It gives yourself time to think, sift through materials, ideas and make sense of the task. So now let's look at planning on a daily, weekly basis. Use a diary or a weekly planner and set specific blocks of study time. Set specific targets. For example, if you're reading a journal article, contain it to 1 hour. On your planner, you need to record all the obvious things such as lectures, classes, work and other commitments. You also need to schedule breaks in, for example 10 minutes every hour. But also remember to timetable other tasks as well. For example, checking emails, your phone, Facebook, etc. The planner will have to have a degree of flexibility as tasks will always crop up, but try to timetable in time for other things. So this is how your weekly planner might look. The advantages of planning study periods like this are you don't waste time deciding whether to study or what to do. It helps to avoid distractions, and it helps you avoid the feeling that you should be studying all the time. If you're prone to that feeling, it's important to identify times for not studying as well. So what are possible disadvantages of poor planning? Things may get expensive. It may be in terms of your health, the knock-on effect on other courses, your university career in general. You may miss out on opportunities because you're too late. And others may notice your pattern of lateness and disorganisation, which may have a knock-on effect on any references you need for further study or jobs. And you will always feel left behind. So let's look at some closing tips for managing your time. Try to reward yourself when you get things done as you had planned, especially the important things. And catch yourself when you're involved in unproductive tasks and stop them as soon as you can. Consider using applications such as LeechBlock if you find that you spend too much time on social networking sites, or use this as your reward for carrying out other tasks. Ask people to call you at specific times so they're not disturbing your study time. And make sure that you ask for advice and help when needed. This may be from your peers, from tutors, or from student academic support. It may be a good idea to use your mobile phone for reminders or alarms so that your study time is not overrunning or you're not missing lectures. Learn to say no. It's one of the most difficult things to do. Let go of perfectionism. You have to set a realistic time scale for each piece of coursework and just do what you do within that time. Be decisive. Decide how you're going to utilise your time and stick with it. So, if you still feel that you could do with some extra support, then you can make an appointment with Student Academic Support, or you can come along to see me at Study Plus. We're in the library on level 2, and we can answer quick questions, we can offer appointments, and we can also provide study guides. There is also some additional information on Blackboard, which includes semester planners and other online activities to help you with your studies. Also online, Learn Higher has a number of resources which may be helpful.